Have you ever felt like your own mind is your worst enemy? Well, if you have, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dive into the core teachings of a book that's helped millions of people find some peace. Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. We're going to break down its simple but totally revolutionary guide to living in the present.
So right now, as you're listening to my voice, can you also hear that other voice? You know the one. The little narrator in your head that's constantly commenting, judging, worrying about something. It's pretty much always there, right?
Well, Eckhart Tolle actually has a name for this voice. He calls it the thinker. And here's the absolute key to everything. That voice, it's not you. It's this involuntary, compulsive stream of thought, like a little narrator that's completely hijacked the show. And the crazy part is, most of us don't even realize we have the power to turn the volume down.
So, Section 1, The Root of Our Suffering. And the subtitle is The Problem of Mistaken Identity. And that's exactly it. Our relationship with that inner voice, with the thinker, is what Tolle says is the single root of pretty much all our suffering. It all comes down to this massive case of mistaken identity.
So here it is, what Tolle calls the most basic error we all make. We actually believe that we are that voice in our head. We mistake all its constant chatter for who we really are. And then what happens? Its worries become our reality. Its judgments become our identity. And according to Tolle, this one simple mistake, that's the ultimate source of all our unhappiness.
And I love this quote from the book. It really sums it up. Tolle's view is that the mind isn't the enemy. Not at all. It's a tool. A really superb one when we're the ones using it. But the problem is, when we're not consciously using it, it starts to use us. And that's when it becomes this destructive force just running on autopilot, creating a nonstop storm of anxiety and fear. So this really breaks down the two selves that Tolle talks about. Over on the left, you've got the mind-made self, the ego. Think of it as this false self that's stitched together from all our thoughts about the past and the future. It's never satisfied, and it's always living in fear. But then, on the right, you have your deeper self. He calls it being. That's your true nature, that timeless, conscious presence that's just quietly observing the mind. The whole point of the book is learning how to shift from one to the other.
Okay, Section 2, The Illusion of Time. And the subtitle here is Discovering the Antidote, the Now. So the big question is, how do we actually do this? How do we stop identifying with that noisy ego and connect with our real being? Well, Tolle's answer is surprisingly simple, and it has everything to do with understanding the illusion of time.
You can really see the mind's trap here. It's like a time traveler that only goes to two places. It's either stuck in the past, feeding on guilt and resentment, or it's rocketing off into the future, creating all sorts of anxiety and stress. The one and only place it avoids is the now. And the crazy paradox is, the now is the only place life is ever actually happening. It's the only place we have any real power.
Now, it's super important to understand, Tolle isn't saying all time is bad. He makes a key distinction between clock time and psychological time. Clock time is totally practical. We needed to set appointments, cook dinner, plan our day. No problem there. The issue is psychological time. That's when we get completely lost in these endless mental loops about past regrets and future worries, and we carry that stuff around like a huge heavy bag. To really drive this point home, Tolle brings in this amazing quote from the mystic Meister Eckhart. Time is what keeps the light from reaching us. There is no greater obstacle to God than time. Wow. In other words, our constant mental obsession with the past and the future is the very thing that blocks us from experiencing the reality, the aliveness of the present moment.
All right, Section 3, How to Access the Now. And the subtitle, A Practical First Step. Because you're probably thinking, okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do I actually do it? Right? How do you get into this now? Well, Tolle gives us a first step that is just surprisingly simple.
So here it is. Step 1. Just start listening to that voice in your head. That's it. Notice the thoughts as they run through your mind, but do it like you're listening to someone else's conversation. The key is, don't judge it, don't condemn it, just observe it impartially. Because the moment you start doing that, you realize something huge. You realize that if you are watching the thinker, then you can't be the thinker. You are the witness, that quiet, conscious presence that's watching the thought. And when you do this, something pretty amazing starts to happen. A little gap opens up in that constant stream of thought. It's a moment of what Tolle calls no mind. And it's right there in that little pocket of silence between your thoughts. That's where you get your first taste of real stillness and peace. That gap is your doorway. It's your entry point to connecting with that deeper part of yourself.
All right, next up, Section 4, Life Beyond the Mind. Subtitle, The Joy of Being. So what happens then? What happens when we start to spend more and more time in that peaceful gap? What's the real payoff for reclaiming the present moment?
Well, the payoff is, it's just huge. It's nothing short of transformative. You get an end to all that self-created suffering. You get freedom from what Tolle calls the pain body, that old baggage of negativity we all carry around. And what takes its place? A deep, unshakable inner peace. You start to feel the simple joy of being in just everyday life. And Tolle says this is where the good stuff comes from. True creativity, love, and intelligence, they all arise from beyond the mind.
And this all leads to one of Tolle's most powerful ideas. He totally reframes the word enlightenment. We think of it as some kind of superhuman, impossible achievement, but it's not. The Buddha's definition was super simple. It's just the end of suffering. For Tolle, it's your natural state. It's not about becoming someone new or better. It's about coming back to the peace that's already inside you, the peace that's just been buried under all that mental noise.
And of course, this is the book itself, the one that's been a guide for millions of people all over the world who are trying to do just that. Quiet the mind, end the suffering, and just rediscover the simple peace and aliveness of being right here, right now.
So we'll leave you with this one last question to think about. After all the searching we do, all the planning, all the worrying, what if the big secret of life isn't out there somewhere in the future? What if it's much, much simpler? What if it's just about learning to be fully, completely right where you are?